Hi everybody, my name is Michaela Matuzik, and I'd like to discuss with you some of the fundamental differences between managers and leaders. Now there's a lot to unpack here. I think that the most straightforward way to discuss this is to start by defining management, defining leadership, showing direct contrast between the two, and then expressing some of the practical benefits of applying leadership skills. In order to do that, I'm going to use four defining skill sets. Those are goal setting, attention to protocol, communication, and crisis response. So let's start with managers. According to Whitman and Cameron, in developing management skills, managers tend to be primarily transactional. That is to say, if you do this, you get this out of it. Their goal setting tends to be tightly focused, very project specific, and mostly number oriented. Their attention to protocol relies heavily on tradition, and you're likely to get a response from a manager when you ask about a certain procedure. This is just the way we've always done it. Communication tends to be tightly controlled for managers and starts at the top, works its way down. You may hear from a manager that you're getting information on a need-to-know basis. Don't worry about that, we've already had it covered. And their crisis response tends to be very strong. It tends to be straightforward and immediate. They step in and take charge. The definition for leaders is a little different. Their goal setting tends to be people-oriented and much more broadly focused. Some leaders are a little more flexible with new ideas, and their protocol reflects that. Open communication is a strong indication of good leadership. Good leaders want to make sure that they are communicating openly with their followers, that they're getting feedback from their followers, and that they are giving timely feedback to their team members as well. This means that the flow of communication works just as well from top to bottom as it does from the bottom to the top. Crisis response for leaders tends, rather than a take charge attitude, tends to be a take responsibility attitude. So, just to pack all that in, let's look at some direct contrasts between the two. For goal setting, managers tend to be number-oriented and tightly focused. Leaders tend to be people-oriented and broadly focused. With attention to protocol, managers tend to be much more regimented, where leaders are a little more flexible and their ideas about protocol and procedure may be a little more fluid. Communication for managers starts at the top, works its way down, and that's really kind of the only direction that it goes. For leaders, that tends to be a much more open and, again, fluid concept. Leaders want certainly information from the top to work its way down, but they rely just as heavily on information from their subordinates to make informed decisions. Crisis management is where managers and leaders also really show some marked differences. Again, in a crisis, the manager is likely to step in and take charge, where a leader is likely to step in and take responsibility. Both can diffuse the situation, but they respond very, very differently between them. So now that we've got all that down, here are the practical benefits of applying the principles of servant leadership to each of these four skill sets. We'll start with goals. Because leaders tend to be more broadly focused and more people-oriented, they tend to examine the broad picture theories much more effectively. And the way they do this is by addressing each of the organization's concerns at the upper level, at the project level, and at the individual level. In doing so, they ensure that not only the organization's needs are met, but also that the individual's needs are met. This creates bonus for pretty much everybody. More flexibility creates better response time and usually a better fit procedurally for everyone. While attention to protocol certainly helps, you know what you're walking into every single day and respond the same way to virtually every situation, a little fluidity in that response is also helpful. I don't think that enough can be said about the benefits of improved communication. Everyone in the entire organization benefits from improved communication. This works in a number of different ways. From the top down, leaders tend to get better information from their subordinates because they're listening to them. They create a sense of trust. foster that open communication, and they have better up-to-date, real-time information. The flip side of this very profitable coin is that followers with better information are empowered to make informed decisions. This leads to a better response time, leads to better decision making, leads to happier followers, and honestly, more productive followers. They feel like they are being listened to and being valued, and that the increased information is part of what they get for that. Better communication leads us directly into a better crisis response. And here is where leaders truly, truly excel. By creating a strong response from the entire team, keep in mind we have well-informed team members who are able to make decisions and informed decisions on the fly. They've also been empowered to do so because their leader trusts them. You get a better recovery, a faster recovery, and a more thorough recovery. You also have fewer recurrences of the same issue. Everyone, because they've communicated openly about it, understands what led to the crisis to begin with and how to avoid it in the future. The real fundamental difference in crisis response between managers and leaders, however, is that managers are typically involved in keeping people in the same positions. That's not to say that they mean to pigeonhole people. It is quite simply every single person has their perfect little slot, and the way managers see the world, you can't really run it if all of those slots aren't filled. Leaders, on the other hand, during a crisis situation, by improving communication and empowering their people to make decisions, actually create more leaders. This is overall one of the fundamental differences between management and leadership. Once again, leadership, good leadership, creates more leaders. So all of that being said, if you look at all four of these skill sets, goal setting, attention to protocol, communication, and crisis response, and view the definitions of management and leadership and the direct contrast between the two of them through those four lenses, I think there is a notable and quantifiable advantage to developing leadership skills rather than just management skills. And these benefits are universal for the entire organization and for the individual as well. Again, my name is Michaela Matuzik. I thank you so much for your time and attention, and I hope that everybody has had a really successful term. Thanks again.